Stop apologizing for being human. Human, a member of the species Homo sapiens, which is distinguished from other animals by its advanced brain, capacity for abstract thought, language, problem solving, and social interaction. By extension, the term human can also refer to qualities or attributes that are considered inherently characteristic of people, often in contrast to machines or animals. For example, one might say, it's only human to make mistakes. Apology, a regretful acknowledgement of an offense or failure. For example, the company issued a public apology after the mishap with their product. While completely suitable for correcting a wrongdoing or unintended pain we've caused, many times our apologies are misused as a means to whitewash our very nature. We curve our backs and dim our lights in fear that we are too much and need to excuse ourselves for simply existing. I'm sorry that my tears made you uncomfortable. I'm sorry that I was in your way. I'm sorry the way I expressed my feelings was too raw. I'm sorry that I asked for what I needed. Friends, today I challenge you to stand firmly in your greatness. I encourage you to love freely and express what is true within you without excusing yourself. Please be authentic while remaining empathetic and kind. And above all else, stop apologizing for being human. Dear dissociation, suffering, self-doubt, coping, denial, and projection. Consider this your eviction notice. Don't get me wrong. I recognize that you've carried me through so many of my years, but now I'm relieving you of your burden. Thank you for being by my side when I didn't know where else to turn, for providing me with some distraction and keeping my mind busy. Thank you for allowing me to feel useful. But you're no longer serving me. I've moved on. I turn to you to defy logic and reasoning. With you, I didn't need to sleep, rest, or care for myself. I thought that I was a superhero that could serve anyone, everyone, except for the person who needed it most. But I've moved on. You no longer have a home here. Please don't come back, nor write or call. I promise that I'll be fine without you. I am healing now, truly, truly healing. I honor your service, but you can move on. Warmest regards, my highest self. This time we'll do more than survive, waiting for a surprise, seeking for and why. I search inside and realize maybe our divine prize is from another lifetime. Today is just a chance to cherish what we'll find in our next lifetime. cry is from another lifetime. It's from another lifetime. Today is just a chance. Today is just a chance to cherish what we'll find in our next lifetime. In our next lifetime. In our next lifetime. Empath, a person with the ability to sense, understand, and to some extent absorb the emotional energy of others, and often intuitively feel and perceive others' feelings. Empaths are particularly sensitive to the emotional climate around them and can be deeply affected by positive or negative emotional stimuli. Dream killer, a person who discourages, dismisses, or negatively influences someone else's aspirations, hopes, or dreams. This can be done through constant criticism, pessimism, discouragement, or by instilling doubt in the dreamer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Empath meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer, meets the dream killer. Awaken the starving soul. Depleted, you navigate through life's hills and valleys while running on E. Feeding the world what you have yet to provide for yourself. Spending currency from your emotional savings to help others, while your checking account for self remains in the red. Awaken the starving soul. You blindly navigate your emotional landscapes because your desires have been sleeping for far too long. While you're busy watching over the others, who has become responsible for you? Resentfully, you've made withdrawals that you thought were investments. Unintentionally seeking a transactional emotional exchange and called it love. Grasping at it because you learned love was something you had to earn. Understandably, your hurt led you to this place of desperation and confusion, recreating patterns generations deep, looping endlessly and being passed down like a traumatic heirloom. Heavy is the heart that breaks the generational trauma, but lighter is the load of those that follow after you. Awaken the starving soul and rise to the sunlight of abundance, authenticity, imperfect humanity, and a world where everyone is responsible for themselves but still capable of freely sharing love with those they choose to give that gift.
Take off your cape, put their burdens down. You're not their king, lay down that fake crown. What's not for you's just not for you. Lay that cape on down. Mind your business, put their burdens down. Your heart's pure gold, lay down that fake crown. Let them manage their own baggage, lay that cape on down. For too long, you made all their shit your own, taking on problems that don't belong. Time to let go, leaving room to grow, making space to breathe. You'll have time to dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, Milton Suggs on vocal. And presenting to you all with the representation of the human spirit, Shanelle Harrison. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Please give it up for this band one more time. Marcus Elliott, y'all. Kassan Belgrave. Caleb Curtis. Raphael Leofar. Kaylee Wilder. William Wang. Corey Wallace. Kenneth Gill. Christian Foreman. Anthony Stanko. Omar Latif. Alan Denard. Solomon Parham. Y'all, this young man over here on keys, give it up for Brendan Davis. Sasha Cash Perico on guitar, y'all. The one and only Chance the Rapper, Brandon Rose on bass. Nate Wynn on drums, y'all. Lauren Johnson on percussion. My name is Kris Johnson. Thank you so much. And this is the Paradise Theater Big Band, y'all. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you guys had a fantastic time. We're gonna ride this one out.